Hello and welcome to Bolt Action Reloading. If you're interested in an update to our Thompson compass chambered in .300 Winchester Magnum, stick around. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here and you want to see how I and the rest of you here make our group smaller, start now by subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell icon. That way you get notified when I post new videos and you won't miss anything. Like I mentioned in the introduction today, today's update is going to be about our Thompson compass chambered in .300 Winchester Magnum. I know some of you guys have been eagerly anticipating some updates on this rifle and how it was shooting. And if you caught last week's video, you'll know that I finally got the Picatinny rail installed and we got this thing out on the range. But the real question is, how did it perform? For those of you that might be new to this series, I'll put a card up and you can go check out the unboxing of this. In that video, I talk a little bit more about this rifle. But in this video, we're going to just talk about what we've done on this rifle and to get it to the configuration that it is currently in. Since I've already started to get a couple questions, I thought I might as well just go through the parts as they are installed in the rifle at this time. And just for fun, we might as well start at one end and go to the other. Starting at the muzzle end, you'll see that we have added a Precision Armament AR-308 M4-72 severe duty brake in .30 caliber. This may not be your typical 300 Win Mag brake. However, when doing some research online, this seemed to be a very well performing and reasonably priced muzzle brake for a .30 caliber projectile. So that is currently what we went with. So far, I'm fairly pleased with my decision. Working further down the rifle, you'll see that we still have the same stock and everything else besides the Picatinny rail we installed from EGW. On top of the Picatinny rail, you'll see that we have installed our SWFA fixed 16 power scope along with the SWFA mounts and bubble level. We're not saying it's poor quality at all, but we'll certainly say that they are no frill accessories. As far as the stock rifle is concerned, that's where we can stop. We still have the factory stock and butt pad that came with the rifle already installed. Down here you'll see we already have our Remington green and yellow box 300 Winchester Magnum 180 grain core lock soft point ammunition. And if you're a fan of the channel, you might already recognize this box. Mostly because this is the same ammunition that we actually tried on our last 300 Winchester Magnum project. I'll also put a card up for that if you guys are interested in go checking that series out. And I'm certainly not bashing that rifle in any way, shape, or form. There's certainly a lot of sentimental value with that particular firearm. However, in today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about how that performed versus how this performed right out of the gate. And for fun, that might as well be where we start off. Barely at this point, I'm not even going to say that this rifle is completely broken in, because certainly at this point, we only have shot 10 shots through the barrel. But at that point, I thought we certainly should have removed all the factory oils from the gun and got at least a mild basic idea how it's going to perform. And by the brass that we've actually used to fire that, we'll get an idea of the headspace of this rifle to make sure that our reloading goes a little bit smoother than it did with our 338 Lapua project. And because honestly, I have no other data to compare it to, we're going to compare the performance we got out of this rifle versus the 10 shots of factory, same ammunition that we shot with our other 300 Winchester Magnum rifle and see how they compare. Like I mentioned, I'll put a card up if you want to check out the introduction to that other rifle so you can get more specifics on it. It's a Browning BAR chambered in .300 Winchester Magnum semi-automatic rifle. But one thing of note before we actually talk about velocities, guys, I want to point out this ammunition is either a date code of 97 or 1990. I'm really not sure which, but I will tell you, at least when we shot this ammunition, it was a good minimum of 21 years old, maybe a little older. And so I certainly wouldn't call it anything but plinking ammunition at this point. Feel free to disagree with me. This ammunition certainly hasn't been stored probably how it should be. And certainly when we shot it with our other rifle, we did not get stellar performance. That being said, let's talk about how this performed today. Now, like I mentioned, this is just basic 180 grain soft point. The average velocity we achieved with this was 2,963 feet per second. The standard deviation was a non-spectacular 17.1 feet per second, and an extreme spread of 56. Compared to our other rifle, again, with this same identical ammunition, that averaged 2,970 feet per second, so only 7 feet per second off. However, in that rifle, the standard deviation was 35.2 with an extreme spread of 110 feet per second. Obviously, significantly different. And since we're mentioning things that are significantly different, let's talk about the group sizes. Like I mentioned, basically identical. We had changed the scope on the other rifle after zeroing it in and shooting a 5-shot group. And the other rifle, if you'll remember, 6.356 MOA is what we were able to achieve. With our new Thompson Center compass, right out of the gate, a one-hole group pretty much with a .919 MOA group. Obviously, some things of distinct interest here. Let's talk about some differences. Just to be fair to the testing, the 6.356 MOA group was shot at 100 yards with our other rifle. However, I'd had such a, let's just call it, interesting experience with the previous rifle. I was a little gun shy and I wanted to make sure we stayed on paper. And since I already had the target at 50 yards for sight-in, that is where I left it. The .919 MOA group, again, is not .919 inches, it is .919 MOA, but as you'll see, it was only shot at 50 yards. And honestly, I would have liked to have stretched it out, but I just didn't have any time left because this was the last thing I shot before I had to leave the range for the day. I don't want to call this junk ammunition for break-in, but it's not certainly something I would take out expecting to get good performance. And frankly, with less than an MOA with a 5-shot group, I'm just ecstatic. Keep in mind, these were actually shot 6 through 10 for the rifle. The first 5 shots were simply used for sight-in, and now shot 6 through 10 right out of the gate with what I would frankly call garbage ammunition. To shoot less than an MOA, I am just ecstatic. I really can't wait till we get to do some actual work with this rifle. But I know you guys have had a lot of questions, so I thought I'd give you an update where I am. Certainly stay tuned to the channel. We'll be providing more updates as our project moves along. As you'll see on the table here, we've already got some new 300 Winchester Magnum brass from SIG, fresh on the table here, and actually fully prepped now and ready to load. I haven't completely decided yet exactly what we're going to do, but I'm certainly tempted to start with some H1000 simply because I've had such good luck with it already in 338 Lapua Magnum. But anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. I realize that we don't have very many rounds to this rifle already. However, an MOA right out of the gate, guys, I couldn't possibly be happier. Again, this was a $200 rifle after rebate. The muzzle brake on the end of this was almost half of that. And frankly, the optic that is on here was bought on a Black Friday special at less than $300. So certainly throwing this stuff together and actually getting a reasonable performance right out of the gate is really a very big positive for me. Love to know what you guys think in the comment section below. Should I start with H1000? Or I'd love to know what some of the other pet powders you guys have for 300 Winchester Magnum. So I realize it's not a huge update, but I know that some of you were very interested to see where this project was coming and where it was going. And certainly some news is always better than no news. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you have any comments or questions, please put those in the comment section below. If you're not subscribed to the channel and you're interested in this project, please consider subscribing to the channel, hitting that like button, and until next week, stay safe in small groups.